On this week's edition of District Directions, Ms. Connie Blaney will be joining us with her district update. Dr. John Clinton will be here to answer the big band question. Ms. Linda Kramer will be here with her opening doors, and Mr. Rex Suba will be here with his show Pinpoints. Stay tuned. Since spring fever has arrived, students are excited about summer, vacation, and graduation. But the BOE, or the Board of Education, is planning ahead for next year's school. So here's Ms. Connie Blaney with her district update.
A student-parent orientation has been set for all incoming 6th, 7th, and 8th graders at all four Norman Middle Schools in mid-April, Dr. John L. Jones, new principal at Alcott Middle School, said. 6th grade students and their parents are invited to attend an orientation on Tuesday, April 15th at 7 p.m. at the school which they will attend in the fall of 1997. Orientation for the 1997-98 school year for 7th and 8th graders and their parents will be held on Thursday, April 17th at 7 p.m. at their prospective schools. The purpose of the orientation is to allow parents and students an opportunity to tour the building, meet with staff, and receive enrollment information. 3 of the schools, except for Irving, will have a brief PTA meeting at 7 p.m., Dr. Jones said. Information about orientation will be sent through Thursday folders for next year's 6th graders and through the U.S. mail for incoming 7th and 8th grade students. We encourage parents and students to attend this important event. We're excited about meeting new students and parents and planning for next year, Dr. Jones said. The Assistance League of Norman and the Norman Public Schools will hold Kindergarten Roundup on Wednesday, May 7th from 8 a.m. in the morning to 7 p.m. at each elementary school in the district. Coordinating the Kindergarten Roundup for the Assistance League is Diana Williams, assisted by Pat Nolan, Director of Student Services for the Norman Schools. Parents or guardians need to complete enrollment at the school the child will attend. Enrollment will also be held for students who are currently attending a private kindergarten and wish to enroll in the 1st grade. The first day of school is most important to our students. By having Kindergarten Roundup, we are more prepared to serve the students when they come to school in August, Mr. Nolan said. We deeply appreciate the Assistance League of Norman for their service. Children must be 5 years of age on or before September 1st of 1997 to enroll. An official state birth certificate and a current immunization record must be presented at the time of enrollment. Immunization requirements include 5 doses of DTP or a combination of DTP and DTaP vaccines, totaling 5 doses unless the 4th DTP was received after the 4th birthday. 2 MMR vaccinations, and 4 doses of the polio vaccine, unless the 3rd dose was received after the 4th birthday. Effective with the fall of 1998 semester, all students entering kindergarten or 1st grade without kindergarten must provide documentation of having received 3 doses of hepatitis B vaccine. Hepatitis B vaccine is now routinely recommended for all children beginning in infancy. The Cleveland County Health Department and Rotary International are sponsoring an immunization clinic on Saturday, April 26th from 12 noon to 4 p.m. at the Sooner Fashion Mall. These immunizations are free to the public. On Friday, April 11th, employees in Norman Public Schools will participate in an afternoon in-service training. Dr. Nancy O'Brien, Assistant Superintendent, stated, "There will be no school in the afternoon on this date. Lunches at regular prices will be offered to all students wishing to eat at school. The district will also provide bus transportation home for eligible students." Dismissal for the in-service day for elementary students will be at 11:45 a.m. This includes morning kindergartners. Buses will run at 11:45 and daycare vans will pick up students at the same time. Kindergarten students who are eligible for transportation and who have a bus pass will be delivered to the same bus stop that they use to board the bus in the mornings for a ride to school. Dismissal for secondary students will be at 11 a.m. and buses will run at 11. This in-service day gives our employees at the secondary level an opportunity to meet with their new 1997-98 staffs and make plans for a very smooth transition next year for students and staff, Dr. O'Brien stated. Our focus is on creating a positive environment for our youth and helping our students adapt to change, she said. She noted that the staffs at all 6 secondary school sites are concentrating their efforts on student activities, course offerings, counseling services, special events, and the many opportunities for student leadership that will develop as a result of this configuration change. The secondary configuration will change next year from 1 high school to 2 four-year high schools and from 3 middle schools to 4 middle schools. The 6 schools are Norman High School North, Alcott Middle School, Longfellow Middle School, Irving Middle School, and Whittier Middle School. Textbooks are on the move in the district. Yes, you heard me right, textbooks. Ann Masters, Director of Media Services, is steering a committee to make sure that all textbooks and other library equipment will be in its rightful place next year. It is quite a job to decide which books go where next year with 2 high schools and 4 middle schools, but it will be done with the hard work of teachers and administrators planning the move. Equipment, furniture, and other items will be moved this summer. Our maintenance crew, custodians, and private business will be busy moving in June and July. Congratulations to Gary Kramer, Director of Video Studio, and Fred Avery, Studio Manager, for being named Partners for Excellence Award winners by the Oklahoma School Public Relations Association. This very prestigious award is a statewide award and will be presented on Friday, April 11th at the annual OCASPA conference at Western Hills. The award is given to educators who make worthwhile contributions to excellence in education. We are very proud of Gary and Fred. They are most deserving of this award. We compliment and thank them for all their contributions to the Norman community and to the students of this fine school system. Again, congratulations. Our next regular school board meeting will be held on Monday, April 21st at 7 p.m. at the Administrative Services Center, 131 South Flood Avenue. The public is invited to attend. For Norman Public Schools, I'm Connie Blaney.
The Norman High Band is faced with a big problem next year. Will the band be together all of the time, some of the time, or just flat none of the time? That is the question that Dr. John Clinton has come here to answer. So without further ado, here's Dr. John Clinton.
Welcome to Focus on the Fine Arts. I'm John Clinton, Director of Fine Arts, and as I promised you, we have back again 2 wonderful guests, Jim Meiller and Dennis Smith, who will be working with the Instrumental Music Department at Norman High School. Welcome back to all of you.
Thank you.
And thank you for taking the time to be with us again. When we finished our last show, we had just briefly touched about marching band and all of the things that were going to be involved in that. And we have so many other topics to be involved with. I think that probably, let's talk about concert band, because you mentioned that, Jim, last week about what that might be like. Dennis, you want to fill us in a little bit about what the options are? I know we don't have final plans, but what are the options that we might be looking at here?
Well, during the marching season, we kind of sort things out for what we'll do when marching is over for the rest of the year, meaning that we see what kind of numbers we have in grades 10 through 12 in our marching band, how many of each instrument, and then the total numbers. And then each school, I think, will need to decide how they're going to handle the concert season based on what their numbers tell them. One option would be to keep everybody together in a single concert band. It would be a large band, more along the lines of what we would normally think is a symphonic band. And this is pretty much what the current Norman High School has done each year with the 2 grades that they've had, just keeping everyone together. Second option would be, if the numbers warrant, that there could be 2 concert bands. We have 2 rehearsal areas in each band facility, the one currently here at Norman High School and the one under construction at North. We have Jim and myself here at Norman High, and of course David Davison, Brad Benson at Norman North, and they could actually rehearse 2 bands at the same time in the 2 separate rooms. The way those kids would be split, that's something that we've really needed to talk some more about, but we've made a decision to kind of cross that bridge when we come to it. It seems to be a situation where we want to wait and see what our numbers tell us before we decide if we need to deal with the issue. A preliminary discussion has been based upon perhaps keeping all the seniors in one group for sure, and then splitting the other kids between the 2 groups based on what the instrumentation needs are. But that's far from a final decision.
It's a tough one. Jim, I know both of you actually have had 2 bands at one school, and Jim, you presently have 2 bands at West Mid High School. Can you tell me what are some of the inherent problems or the perceived problems that come from having 2 bands, and also some of the good things that come from having 2 bands?
Well, some of the good things, especially if you divide the students by ability, the top group performs very well, and that's very satisfying for everybody involved. Perhaps the second group, we find the leadership that is there from the older students. When you divide, it's pretty much going to be older and younger based on ability because they haven't been playing that long. But we lose the leadership in the second group or the third group. And that really presents a challenge to both the director and the students in the group to overcome that.
Is it possible then that with the second group that you can start developing leadership patterns within them?
That's a real plus.
Yeah.
Just as when we have 2 football teams, it'll give more people a chance to play on a football team. It gives more people a chance to be a leader. The student that will play 3rd clarinet in the top group for all his life now may get a shot at playing 1st clarinet.
That's a good thing.
And that hopefully will bring up the level in all the groups.
So it really has more to do with their achievement level, and they may be innately very talented, but have not yet achieved a level that they'll be able to do. So being in the top band or the second band really has to do with more with experience and achievement.
Right.
And it has to do with what their innate ability will be.
I even had students last year that asked to be in the second group that were going to be sophomores. They said, I'd rather play in the second group because I know I can help that group, where
That's great.
if I'm in the first group, I'm not as strong as many of the other players. I'd rather help the younger kids and really develop a much, much better attitude.
There's so many wonderful students in Norman, aren't there? I mean, that just is always constantly amazing to me that we have some of the brightest, most caring, most concerned students and parents of anybody in the state of Oklahoma, and it's really nice to have that. One of the big things that we just finished was our All-City concert, our 37th All-City concert. We have it at Lloyd Noble, huge event. Look out there, and we're going to have approximately the same number of students. But it won't be any longer having the 2 mid-highs playing and then have the high school band playing. What are some options of things that we're going to be going through to make decisions about what will the 38th annual All-City Band Concert look like? Do you have any thoughts about that, either one of you? Dennis?
Well, I don't think the audience will perceive a huge difference in what we're doing. But I think that we as a staff will perceive that we have to do things very differently. We'll keep our 6th grade band together, 7th grade band, and all our 8th grade combined. It would be a natural assumption that we combine the 9th grade. Now what we do with the 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, I think that's going to depend by and large how we decide to split the kids, as we were just speaking of. One option would be to just put everybody together and have a large high school band and play a piece together and rehearse it together, much the way the middle school younger kids do. Another option would be to have each group at each school play a separate number. So again, that's a decision that would probably best be made once we're into the year a little bit, and see how things develop for us, and then base our decision upon what makes the best musical sense and presents the best musical enhancement for our students, and try to take the best course that we can. In Norman, I think it's been a delight to work here because the staff is flexible and they know that we'll try what we think is our best concept for any given situation, like this one will be. Then we sit down and evaluate how that went.
Yes.
And discuss if that's something we want to maintain, or is there a way we can improve this. So it may be a process that takes us a while to sort out, as many things would in a two high school situation when we're getting
I think
started.
you've got a very good point in the fact that we may not always do the exact right thing, but it's not because of lack of intent to do the right thing. It's also not because we are unwilling to change. And we're willing to do whatever we can to make it the very best situation for our students, and that's a real tribute to both of you to have this happen. Well, you're going to be at the high school here next year, and Norman High School North, as much as you will have a little auditorium, they will have no auditorium to work with for the first time.
It's true.
With a 200-piece band, or let's say, what, it'd be about 150, 160-piece band between the two groups, you're certainly not going to fit on the stage here at Norman High School. Do you anticipate having your concerts again at Homburg Hall, like some of you had, or over at the old Central and the new Longfellow? Have you thought about where you might be interested in having your concerts for the following year?
Yes, of course we've thought about that. I've discussed that possibility with people at OU, and Homburg Hall will be going under renovation fairly soon, so that won't be an option. But the new Catlett, I don't even remember the name of the new hall, but that should be finished in another year.
Okay.
And that's certainly a possibility.
Good.
The site of over at Central is a possibility as well. Or, you know, they used to do concerts in the gym. I remember hearing your band, and when Dennis was here, both groups perform in the South Gym.
Yes.
Not, excuse me, not a pretty picture, but whatever, we'll make it work, you know, wherever we wind up.
It's a tough situation. Are you excited about the possibility of having a Performing Arts Center coming up in about, what, maybe 3 years for us now?
Well, it's something that it's like a dream for us. I don't know how many times I've been a judge at contests around the state, and it never ceases to amaze me that every place I've ever been to judge has a fairly nice to very nice auditorium to play in, and large enough to accommodate a large drama production or a musical or a big play, and in our case a nice sized group on the stage for a concert, and an audience seating capacity that can handle that performance. And in Norman, it's been difficult to keep up with the growth, and I can appreciate the problem it must have been and has been for our administration and our city officials to keep up with the growth. But that dream of having a performing arts center, it's something that is very exciting to me personally in the 25 years I've been here to realize that it may eventually happen. We've been dependent upon the university for performance space for a long time, and I think that's a relationship that's great, but we can't depend on that when we're growing so much. The universities can schedule only so many performances, no matter how many halls they may have that we could get into. They themselves have trouble scheduling everything they need to, and then trying to work our school groups in there is very difficult. So having our own auditorium, even if it's just one nice center, that's a big step forward.
Yes. Good.
And be really of value to the community.
I think so also, not only to the schools and to our programs in the fine arts, but also to the community as well, because they need to have a place like that. I was just thinking, last show, someone brought up, I don't remember which one it was, about we're not even sure who's going to be teaching what, and we don't know this and that, and then what's going to happen with this depends on the number of faculty we have. We have a brief amount of time left, but could you address the fact we have 8 band directors on our staff, and next year we'll have 6 schools. That means there's going to be 2 at each high school and 1 at each middle school. Isn't that enough? I mean, what else do we need to have working for us? What is the difference in band and orchestra and a lot of different subjects like that that causes us to need to have more than one teacher up there doing that?
At the beginning band level, pardon me, at the beginning band level, we're starting 11 different instruments. And the present team teaching situation we have, some schools are splitting those. Some schools, when I was teaching at Whittier, I started all 11 instruments in one room. And it's much easier, you can do a much better job, much more thorough when you can split those kids in half and do just brass, just percussion, just woodwinds. And this year we're lucky enough with my schedule, I can get to Whittier and split the woodwind class even smaller. So where I have 25 or 30 students working on single reeds, Jeff can have another group of students, which is a little smaller, working on a little more specialized things. It makes the team teaching situation makes beginning band a whole lot easier. And it works its way up as well. When we're at the mid-high levels, we're team teaching with each other. We can do sectionals. We can work things like, we work a lot on choirs. We have a woodwind choir where I'll take my woodwind choir to some other part of the school and rehearse with that group. Dennis can take the rest of the kids and work with them. And then when we have time for brass choir, Dennis, being a brass specialist, can take the brass players out. Or, for instance, Robert Kaysen takes the percussionists out. And it makes a big difference for a brass player to hear a brass player's standpoint on something. Now, I can do it. It's not that I'm incapable, but it is that he's more capable than I in that situation. And, vice versa. When I go over to Central, I can work more effectively with his clarinet players in a small group because I'm a clarinet player or a sax player or flutes or whatever. But we have a little more specialized situation. Just like the science teacher whose specialty is biology and could go in and teach a physics class, but probably, that's not what they're going to do best.
Absolutely. So there's a big difference between single reeds and double reeds, Dennis?
Huge difference.
Okay.
The concepts of playing any wind instrument, there are shared concepts, breathing, maybe the way the air is supported when you play, but there are huge differences in embouchure and hand position. In some cases, the fingering systems are not all that well related, or they're in different clefs. And each kid brings to their instrument their own unique set of physical characteristics that need to be dealt with. It's not as easy as just teaching everybody at the same time if you're going to pay attention the way we feel that you need to all those specific things that happen for each instrument. When you're at the secondary level, upper level, high school teaching, those problems may have worked themselves out to some degree, but then you're teaching literature that's very different for each group. And the progress those kids can make at the upper level is drastically enhanced if you've got specialists working with them and developing their chamber music skills in small ensembles, even solos. It's a great help. And with our 8 directors next year, if that's the way it stays, we are going to probably have to sacrifice a lot in our team teaching capabilities. There just isn't going to be much team teaching at all. If we're blessed with more staff members and maybe one or two more, it makes an enormous difference of what we can do throughout the district, all the way up from grade 5 in our string program all the way up to the top. I think the community will see a difference in the quality of the program we can produce.
So it really has to do with what we can do for kids and what can we do for the organization to help them to be everything that they want to be. Well, I know that all of these issues are very complex. I know that most of the decisions that we're working on right now are, the final answer is we don't know, but we're working on it, and we'll get to there. And there's got to be a lot of flexibility. Well, I can't think of two better people to have on this show to initiate this than the two of you, so thank you for being part of this. And I appreciate the work you do, and I look forward to working with you next year when we move into the new high schools. It's going to be fantastic for all of us. And thank you very much for joining us as we focus on the fine arts.
The Media 1 teacher at Norman High and also the PIN Professional Educators of Norman president are one and the same person. That person is Mr. Rex Suba. He will now be joining us with his show, Pinpoints. Well, that's all the time we have on the show today. So for Amanda Patterson, my absentee co-host, I'm Lawrence Bothwell. Have a good night.